Good day, generals, and today I'd just like to chat to you all about amphibious landings. So, this is my Call of War series on Call of War tactics and strategies. So, rather than looking at units and instead of doing direct gameplay discussing what's happening, I'm going to be talking about specific tactics that are involved in this game. And because it's come up in my gameplay, I would like to chat to you about amphibious landings and how to pull them off successfully. So recently I dropped a bunch of units into Madagascar from my mainland, as I have me and my allies just about cleared up the entirety of Africa. Um, so I came across a few challenges and I've learnt a few lessons from this attack on Madagascar that I would like to discuss with you all. So when you're pulling off an amphibious landing, there are two key things that you must have before you even start thinking about what units you need and how you're going to pull it off. You need to gather intelligence and you need to make sure that you have the element of surprise. Now this is key because when you land your craft, they are going to be disembarking for up to 4 hours. And that is a hectic amount of time that you are vulnerable to enemy planes, enemy artillery, and other enemy attack, especially enemy ships as well. So you are going to want to be able to land your men and take your first province before the enemy even knows what's happening. And you're going to want to land on a province that is either undefended or very lightly defended. An amphibious attack is probably the most complex military tactic there is, and also one of the most risky there is. You have, a high risk rate if you are trying to land on an enemy province. Now, let's have a look at Madagascar here and pretend that I haven't invaded yet. If I were to invade one of the main cities, such as this one here, or even the capital, that would probably be the worst plan ever. I'd like to stress this. Do not attack areas that are well defended when you're trying to land your first soldiers. And do not start with an aerial attack. Land your men and then attack. This way the enemy will not have time to respond and to hold you off at the beach. That is probably the most dangerous part of the invasion, is as you're landing on the beach. Now let me tell you what happened to Nigeria, where they failed to do this. After I defeated Nigeria here, they sent, I think it was 11 units, about half infantry armor. So 5 units armor, 6 units infantry. And they were trying to land in my capital. And I still don't understand why they tried to do that. Because they tried to land in my capital, I had it well defended for a start. And what I did was I moved these units down halfway between the beach and the city. That way, none of my industrial complexes and infrastructure would be damaged during the battle. And then I just pulled in a whole bunch of artillery and tactical bombers. And basically, before they even were able to finish disembarking onto my shores, I had defeated all 11 units. Let's have a look in the newspaper if it's in there. Going back a day. Here it is. Nigeria, Angola. This is the 3rd Infantry Regiment. Nigeria was destroyed after heavy bombardment. So after that, our casualties previously had been about equal, about 3,000, 3,000. After that failed amphibious landing at my capital, Nigeria lost another 5,000, and I only lost 1,000. And that was mainly because of one militia unit that did engage the enemy's landing. So what should have they done better? Well, firstly, invading here was the worst plan ever. I had a large force guarding the city, and at the time I had multiple artillery and tactical bombers patrolling the area. So where should have they landed? Well, if their target was the capital, it would have made more sense to land either in the North Province here, just north of the capital, or to land somewhere along this coast here, and to then fight their way down. Secondly, their units were made completely of infantry and armor. They had no artillery, and they had no ships, and they had no planes. Even if they did manage to disembark, they would be pretty much screwed, because obviously I have the larger force. If they have no long-range weapons, such as bombers and artillery, they would be unable to hold off any of my counterattacks. Also, if they had have brought in ships, they would have been able to bombard the province and make sure there was zero resistance before landing their troops. And if they had have brought in planes, they would have been able to destroy all my resistance throughout this area. So you can see it was just a badly thought out plan. So what does that mean for us? Well, let's get down to which units are needed for an amphibious landing. Firstly, you're going to want to have a navy presence. I wasn't able to have a navy presence when I invaded here, and because of that, it cost me dearly. I lost 5 units in the channel because of enemy ships sinking those ships before they were able to get there. So I learned that lesson the hard way. You must have navy to be able to successfully land an amphibious assault. Navy will make sure that your ships get across the channel and are able to land, but you can also use naval bombardment to make sure there is no enemies that come to hinder your disembarkment or your advance onto the province. So navy is key. Have a strong navy. Okay. Second, you're going to want air support. Air support is also crucial for an amphibious attack. You need to know where the enemy is and what they are doing. And you also need to be able to eliminate any of the enemy resistance. So once your men are disembarking and your navy has bombarded all enemy in that province, it's time to send in your planes. Make sure they cover your disembarkment. That's their main aim, is to cover the disembarkment of your troops. And once they've done that, you can move them forward to carry on the attack. Okay, thirdly, you're definitely going to want artillery. Artillery will be able to disembark and fire from their position on the beach onto any enemies that were unable to be eliminated by the tactical bombers and your navy. This artillery will clear the way for your men to move forward. You do not want to engage head-to-head close quarters with enemies when you're trying to land an amphibious attack. So use your artillery as your land force. As you can see, the majority of my force here is artillery. I have 2 more artillery coming in now. I had 3 altogether here, and I have 1 piece here. And I got more on the way. So artillery is very useful. Now what you're going to experience once you're landing, and once your planes are flying over, and once you're bombarding the enemy with navy, they're going to send in their artillery to try to shoot you down at the beach, and they're going to be sending in their planes to do the same. So you're going to want a large interceptor presence as well. You're going to want to be able to shoot down enemy planes, and you should also carry some anti-air with you, because enemy planes will be probably one of your biggest threats. Enemy navy, enemy planes, and enemy artillery. So you need to match each one of those threats with friendly navy, friendly air, and friendly artillery. Okay, so you've taken your first province. What now? Well, you want to move to immediately, as with all attacks, knock out their production of more units. Take out their main industrial areas, and make sure you do not lose your ground. This first province that you take is key. That's your FOB, your forward operating base. From here you will strike out in all directions, but you must hold this. So having a large artillery and large defensive force here is key. Of course, once you have taken a large area of the enemy land, you can move that defensive force into an offensive capacity. So that's basically how to maneuver an amphibious landing. Remember to gather intelligence first and make sure the enemy does not know you are coming. Okay, you only get one shot at an amphibious landing. If you land here and you are fought off at the beach, or your main units are destroyed at the beach, you've lost the element of surprise, and the enemy will start building up a force along their shores. And also, you've lost your main assault, and the enemy will start countering your intelligence. That's what happened to me in Saudi Arabia. I lost 5 units as they tried to storm the beach because the enemy got the advantage and hit me with artillery before I was able to set up a forward operating base and a base of operations. Because of that, my entire assault had to be put on hold. You can't strike in again and again and again because you're just going to keep losing your units because they know that you're coming. So right now, here and here and here are probably covered in enemy soldiers because that's where I came in. So instead, what we're doing is we're coming in from a different angle. I got my units here, going to come in from here and move that way. So if your first amphibious landing fails, you cannot just throw more soldiers at it. That is foolish and a very noob move. Instead, I'd recommend going in from a different angle. Paratroopers are also very useful. Use them sparingly because they can't move for 18 hours after they're deployed, so they are vulnerable, but they can also secure a landing site for you. I did use them in this assault, and I did secure a landing site to get my first artillery pieces into Madagascar. So that's my advice when you are performing amphibious landing. Let me know if you have any of your own tips and tricks. Comment them down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel and this video, because it really shows me that I should continue making these. Also, I'd like to know from all of you guys which you prefer. Do you prefer gameplay? Do you prefer tactics? Or do you prefer unit breakdowns? Let me know down below. So until next time, I'll see you all later.